And this is how we're starting the episode. I haven't got a segue. I am just going straight in to the alcohol. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Aiden. Cheers, everyone out there.
Cheers. Happy Friday, etc.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, horror. Hi, horror fans.
Hi, horror fans. Hey there.
How are we doing out there? How are we doing, horror nerd?
Horror family.
Fun fact, fun loser fact, actually. Before this podcast even began, a name we came up with was the Super Horror Nerds.
Oh dear. I wouldn't want to stand on to that.
Hey, you'd have been out, yeah. I'm not putting my name towards that.
You'd have been sat there on your own. I'm like, no way. Or that would have been maybe a caveat of me joining. We changed the name.
I might even have the original artwork for it, which I'm gonna send to you now. It wasn't good. It was a spur of the moment thing, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, calm down, everyone. Okay, there you go. Have a look at that.
Let's have a look.
Look at that.
It's all right.
It's
the graphics fine. It's just the logo's cool. It's just a terrible name.
Super whatever only works. I feel like in, let's say, the comic or the video game community world. If you were doing something, horror is a bit more. You've got to be a bit more.
It's got to be a little
bleak.
Bit more, like
it's got a bit more edge to it. Yeah. Up. How dare
the creepy horror nerds.
Ooh. Spooky horror nerds. But no, we are not. This is not the Super Horror Nerd. It's not the Super Horror Nerd cast. That would have been even worse. This is the Dreadcast. As episode 45, and I can bring the number 45 back to the original font so it doesn't look like Nazi propaganda anymore. I accidentally slipped that in on the video, I think. So
it's accidentally on the Instagram post as well.
Is it? Oh no, the one I just put up.
Yeah, because I went to add it to my story, and
look at it.
I typed another 40, a 44 to enlarge and paste over the top of it.
Look at the state of that, folks.
Yeah, if you look closely, it's definitely 2 4s, but not to massively
I'm sure that's what they said. It's
not
just
to
4s.
Massively generalize or anything, but people on the internet aren't known for looking at things in depth before reacting, are they? Let's be honest.
Certain people come up with awful names for their horror podcasts. So, but this is episode 45, and we are doing now. Oh, I am Tom, and this is the lovely co-host Aiden.
Hi.
Today's film was your pick, and the reason this specific one was your pick was because of your birthday.
Yes, it's not yet. It's not for another.
I thought I had missed it.
No, you've not missed it.
I see. Okay.
Still, I'm sure the postage. There's still time to send.
Oh, is there? Oh, is there now?
It's 2 weeks tomorrow. It's the 24th. So yeah, there's plenty of time yet. You've not missed it.
24. I think I'm gonna have to add it to my I have a list because I forget everyone in my life's birthdays, so I have everyone's
I am
birthday.
also like that. I am terrible.
What's what happens when you get old? Your brain melts.
To be honest, I've never had a good head for dates, which is terrible considering I'm a professional archaeologist and learning history and stuff is a big part of it. But I do not remember dates well at all.
Although you say that, things like years, like significant years and memorable years, I feel like are easier than specific dates.
I mean, yeah, we're dealing with epochs, so it's a span of. But even so, no, terrible.
So well, this was today's film was your first choice. You got this week and next week are your birthday choices.
Yeah.
what a double feature for a birthday. Oh wow!
Have you watched Antrim yet?
Doing it this weekend. Going to be doing it soon. Oh, because I wanted to catch up and get ahead of the game. Yeah, I mean, I watched the Days film back on Monday and Tuesday, so I was already ahead then. I didn't just finish watching it before, like normal.
Sure.
Like when we watched The Beyond and we forgot half the stuff that was in it.
We watched it that morning, like literally a couple of hours before recording. Yeah, I watched this last night. But it is a film I have seen many times. Although I don't think my DVD, because I did watch it on Shudder.
Yep.
It's available on Shudder, which is how I watched it.
Yes, so did I on Prime. Yeah.
But I think my DVD is an edited version.
Oh. In a director's cut way?
No. In a shortening and missing scenes kind of way.
The
There was
bastards.
definitely more
in
the version I watched last night, because I had I'd like to think that I had a pretty good handle on this.
I would have thought so.
I've watched it a lot. It was one of my favorite films. Me and a friend still quote this film to each other, like, to this day. It was one of those we watched as teenagers, like, all the time. And I was watching it last night, and I'll concede that there's probably a little. I've not watched it for a long time, and I concede that there's probably bits of it that I was like have gone just through the ravages of time on my memory. But there was definitely some scenes where I was like, I've not seen this before. This is not in the version of the film that I'm used to watching. And I must have had that DVD copy for 20 years, at least 20 years. And yeah, I'm gonna have to have a closer look at that, because
it's the 4K.
Not huge, nothing sort of
a little bits and bobs here and there.
Yeah, nothing like plot changing or anything like that. But there was a couple of scenes where I was like, I'm sure that's there should be a cut there, or a few little bits and pieces.
Before we do get into it, do we have any bits and just little notes to tackle before we get into the messy disgustingness of today's episode?
A couple of things I wanted to mention.
A couple of things on the docket, shall we say?
A couple of things. Current business.
Oh.
Well, as obviously we've talked about and played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game over the last couple of weeks.
Good point here.
Big news regarding Gun. Is it Gun Interactive?
Gun Interactive or Gun Studios? Probably Gun Studios.
Anyway, the makers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Their earlier title, their earlier horror asymmetrical horror multiplayer, whatever we're calling it. Their Friday the 13th
Bonanza.
Game. They've just announced that they will be ceasing to sell it. That game will be no longer available due to their license for the property expiring at the end of this year. It will no longer be available, either physically or digitally.
I didn't realise it was down to the license. I thought it was... I mean, maybe I didn't read into it enough. It was just down to they were putting all their eggs into the TCM basket, and they were just saying, we're done. But obviously, if they're not going to be able to sell it, it's down to the licensing.
It's also down to the license.
They're Gun Media. We were both...
Gun Media. There we go. We should probably get that right. So.
Yeah. Seeing as we're going to be promoting them a lot.
Promoting it. And yeah.
Who were they?
We're talking news, etc.
Yeah.
But well, the issue is it goes back a little bit further than this, because they had to essentially stop updating the game as well. So I think in terms of, obviously you could get a bunch of different skins for different Jasons, and different kills, different weapons, etc., based on Jason from various movies in the franchise. And they stopped. They stopped at, it might be six or seven, I think was the last. It could even be earlier than that. I am just pulling numbers out of my arse here, but yeah, essentially they had to stop. So we don't have, I'm sure they would have gone right the way through to Jason X and Freddy versus Jason, and maybe even the reboot stuff.
I think I found it on Steam. It shows Part 7 is the highest number they've got as a content for this game for like £2.
There you go.
Part 7 machete kill pack. So yeah. So no Manhattan.
So no Manhattan, no. So yeah, it was a shame there that they had to essentially stop updating the game, and we weren't going to get any of the content from the latter end of the franchise. So this lawsuit licensing issue, again, I'm hazy on the ins and outs of it. I think it was quite a complicated issue. Yes, Tom.
Sir, in the corner. You over there in the corner. Wrong. I was wrong, and I'd like to correct myself for once in this podcast. Okay. I'm reading the info on Steam page here. Fans of the movies will be able to play as various versions of Jason, including Part 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, Manhattan, and Jason Goes to Hell.
But has that been updated?
Oh, so was that kind of like a roadmap they had put out, but they hadn't.
That may well. I mean, it's a while since I booted up the game, and I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. But I suspect that might just be the blurb as it originally was written before.
That sucks.
They got their cease and desist against it, essentially. But yeah, and assuming, as well as skins for Jason, that probably would have extended to maps and various other elements as well. So yeah, unfortunately, at the end of this year, that game is no longer available. It's really, really cheap. I think they've dropped the price of it significantly.
On Steam it's £11.39, £11.39. And
I believe it's going to drop to about $4.99.
It will go down. Yeah, I'm going to wait now because I've been after this obviously since we discussed about TCM, and the content, the extra content with the clothing packs are like £1-2 each. So you can probably get all of that for a tenner, maybe under that.
I think when I saw that they were going to drop the price to $4. I mean, this is pounds. I think it was possibly dollars actually, the pricing that I saw, but I'm assuming it will be the equivalent. But it was dropping to $4.99 for the game, and then all DLC packs were going to be 99 pence each. The extra to this is that the servers go offline at the end of next year.
Is it? Does it have local play?
It does have local play.
But then, and I hate this. This is why I started a Let's Play channel years ago. That doesn't exist anymore. You don't go around a mate's house to play video games anymore, do you? Really?
No.
And that sucks.
Yeah. So it's essentially only really going to be playable for a year. But for £5, it's definitely worth playing. It's worth picking up, and it's worth having a go with. But it is a shame that it's not gonna exist beyond that. Physical. You're still looking at 20 to 30 quid. Yeah, I mean, I guess if anything, it'll probably. I mean, I have seen physical copies of it out and about, but not many.
It's made me, for the sake of the fact that I collect video games, like this is my retirement fund here.
You collect video games and you call yourself a horror fan.
There's some horror games in there.
No, I'm not. I'm teasing you.
There's a couple.
But there's potential that it could become a collector's item.
I think so. Well, I mean, it'd be one of those things that's like, it's in the collection, but you can't use it. You can't actually use it.
Yeah, true.
You could play. Can you say if I wanted to play as Jason, and you could set the victims as AI, the computer, NPCs? Would that work? Because I think that would be a fun. I think it'd be a fun single player game. Just pick up and play. It's like, just gonna pick up and play. Have a couple of runs on Friday the 13th.
I'm not sure, to be quite honest. And it doesn't, as I recall, have any of those it may do actually, single player scenario missions that you can do with, like, I know the Evil Dead game's got a single player element to it. It could do. Like I say, it's a while since I booted it up, so
We'll do that in the future because, like I said, I think I definitely want to pick this up along with the TCM after experience and Evil Dead as well. Still not keen on Dead by Daylight, even though with the Nick Cage news, I'm just
even though Nick Cage has just been added to it.
Nick Cage is incredible, but it doesn't. Everything he's involved with is not necessarily something you should buy or invest your money in.
I think that's fair to say.
Unless it's face
No,
off.
Dead by Daylight's never appealed to me either.
No.
And I don't really know why.
Call yourself a horror fan.
I know. Well, I think that's it. I think it's because it's not an IP, a real, you know what I mean? Not a real one.
No, we said that. We both agree with that. That's why we were more interested in these ones, especially the TCM one. And
I know they've added a bunch of licensed content, and you can play as Leatherface, and you can play as a bunch of other stuff, but it's not the same. You're playing as Ghostface or Michael or whoever else they've put in it, but you're still playing Dead by Daylight, which is not.
Yeah. It's the little things, isn't it? It needs to be the game.
It's not a Halloween game just because you're playing as Michael Myers. It's not a Texas Chainsaw game just because you're playing as Leatherface.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, here we go. CEX. Friday the 13th game, no DLC for the PS4, £8. Xbox One, £6. And Switch, £20. So, Xbox and PS4, you're getting a cheap deal for that.
Yeah,
right now.
Switch games have never come down in price, though, do they?
No, it's Nintendo. Nintendo never bring down their prices. Yeah, that sucks. It does suck. But I guess, the licensing, whatever would be the game, anything to do with Friday the 13th licensing has always been a bitch. It's like it's only just found its feet now with the new prequel series we're going to be getting. Crystal Lake, about Jason's origins, which we don't need, we never needed, and I'm very skeptical about it. But we'll
very skeptical.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It will probably make me like the remake, which I'm not a big fan of the remake.
No, I'm not a big fan of the remake. I watched it again recently.
Why would you do that?
Just to see.
Because you hate yourself.
Just to see. Well, no, to be honest, but that's a different issue. But when I first watched it, I actually quite liked it when it came out.
Yeah.
But then at the same time also had no desire to watch it again. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna watch it just to see if it is what I remember it being. And no, it was awful, and I don't think I sat through all of it.
I was done when he had his underground tunnels. He had a whole labyrinth of underground tunnels that he could get from one place to another. No.
Yeah. Well, they tried to ground the teleportation.
How long would that have taken?
I know.
Build his tunnels.
They also described him as being a more active hunter and outdoorsman or something like that. Is that because he killed one person with a bow and arrow in this one?
Oh, he did. Oh my god. But it's still better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which is one of the worst remakes in horror history. But yeah, it's a shame about the game. It is. I'm glad you remembered it. I'm glad you remembered it because we briefly, I maybe talked about it on Twitter, or I saw you, we both saw it on Twitter.
Yes, we did.
But it is a shame. But I guess in some sense they can now put all their eggs into the TCM basket.
Yeah, just as a sort of end to that point, I think that's exactly what they've said. If there's a silver lining, we can now completely focus on our next venture. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, because there are little bits and pieces of extra characters and stuff being leaked for the Chainsaw game.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time, how they pointed out that they only have the interactive license for the first film.
I think they're getting that out straight before anybody attempts another lawsuit, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, they need to specify that. I mean, I can't imagine it's easy to try and get a whole franchise, but it would be cool if they could get something else, because as we discussed, There's not much meat on the bone. There's very little meat in the TCM1 to produce more content.
See what happens, I guess. If it does well, then maybe somebody will approach them after the fact and say,
yeah, maybe.
Why not do this? We can hope. I mean, we both had fun with what we've got so far, so
yeah,
we'll be giving it a go. But yeah, we'll see what happens in terms of content. But I think that's certainly the biggest thing that I wanted to mention in terms of other news and other business. I mean, there's a few little nuggets to talk about with today's film, Toxic Avenger.
A few?
There's a reboot.
Oh, you mean
reboot? Yeah, those sort of related news. There's obviously there's a reboot to that.
That reboot has been. That reboot is near enough been in the works as long as the Akira reboot has been in the works. It's still Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, it's still Peter Dinklage.
Yeah,
and Kevin Bacon and Elijah Wood. It's a very mixed cast.
Yeah,
very strange.
Is it even in production? Is it even in pre-production?
I don't know, to be quite honest. The latest update was August last year, I think.
It was announced in 2018.
Yeah. It might still happen. But it is the 40th anniversary of the OG.
No, April 6th, 2010 it was announced.
Oh wow, okay.
I mean,
maybe it's never
come on.
But it is still Uncle Lloyd that's involved with it, which is kind of cool. So there is still Troma. The Troma name is still fully attached to it, which is cool.
Okay,
if it ever does materialize.
I should really read the rest of these articles. Filming. Principal production commenced on June 21st, 2021 and wrapped on August 14th for my birthday, August 2021. August 14th. Dinklage stated the film is not a remake. On January 30th, 2022, Blair confirmed... Who's Blair? Macon Blair. Someone involved with the film. It could be the director. Confirmed the film will employ practical gore effects, and the time period setting will be a little bit of both in the past and present. Now, this was January a year and a half ago, and there's still been no... It's like it's been filmed, and then nothing.
Yeah, it's in the can, it's ready to go, and then nothing. That is odd.
Yeah. Like, not even a sniff of video on demand, or...
No.
Not even...
Troma do have their own streaming service now, so...
Do they? They've got the content. They've got so much content.
Oh well, we don't know if we're ever going to get that. But we are getting
a
nice
do
4K remaster of the OG.
Oh, is that not out yet?
No, I don't think so. It's soon though.
Who's doing it? Is it Screenbox? Oh wait, I always get... Okay, there's Screenbox and Shout... No, Screenbox is the... I always get these confused. Screenbox is the streaming service. Shout Factory is the video producers. Like Arrow Films.
Mm-hmm.
Shout Factory is the ones that did the Friday the 13th collection and Halloween 4Ks. Who's doing that? It's probably Shout. Shout. Let it all out. Oh, People Under the Stairs 4K. That's new. I didn't know that was out. Have you seen People Under the Stairs? That's a slight tangent.
I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't seen it.
It's fantastic.
I haven't seen it outside of documentaries about films, horror generally.
It's great.
Here
we go. 4K, $100, mid-September.
Yeah, that's mid. I mean, I guess technically it's next year. That's the 40th anniversary. So I think that's gonna put it back a little bit further and coincide with that. We're also getting a video game beat 'em up.
Are we?
based on the 90s cartoon based on the
Yes,
Toxic Avenger.
I
The
did see
Toxic
this.
Crusaders cartoon, which I absolutely adored as a kid, knowing nothing about the actual origins of it.
What was it
And then-
on? Was it on anything?
The cartoon, I mean,
Yeah.
I watched it on terrestrial TV, I think. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think it was like I don't think we'd have had satellite at the time, or maybe we did.
KTV. Let's have a look. What
But I'm
would
sure
that
it was
be?
I'm sure it was terrestrial TV. It was very short-lived though.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it did I don't think it had a lot of yeah, there's only 13 episodes. So it was
Got
March to May 91.
March to May. 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It feels like there was a lot more to it, but stuff I suppose you don't think about it the same way when you're a kid.
Was it an
If
R-rated?
you'd have asked me, I'd have said, no, it was a kids Saturday morning cartoon. It was kind of, it had like a very strong anti-pollution message, like Captain Planet. So a lot of the plot lines involved, some villain or other trying to cause some pollution, and the Toxic Crusaders trying to prevent it. But yeah, no, it was for kids, 100%.
It's mad because I remember I vaguely remember, but not owning. Like there'd be kids' toys for like RoboCop or the Aliens, and it's so bizarre.
The 80s and 90s was weird. I mean, there was a Rambo cartoon.
Yeah, yeah, I think
there
I
was
know
a Rambo
that. Yeah.
cartoon. I mean, we had a RoboCop. I'm sure there was a RoboCop cartoon as well. We had Conan the Barbarian cartoon. And then, yeah, like you say, the other side of it, we were getting toys for RoboCop, the Terminator, the Aliens, the Kenner Aliens figures were great, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others that escape me at the minute. But yeah, it was very, very weird that we got this sort of crossover where they essentially marketed these R-rated 18 certificate films
Absolutely
to children.
Baffling. Because how do you explain it? How do you explain it to them?
You can't really, can you?
What's this from? You'll find out in 8 years. Let's say 12 years, because there'll be kids. You'll find out in 12 years when you're 18.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of us watched that sort of stuff well before we were old enough to one way or another. But but it is odd. But certainly, I mean, there's a lot more in the Toxic Crusaders cartoon that doesn't come from the film. It's pretty much just Toxie and his girlfriend are the only carryovers from the film, I think, and then there was a bunch of other extra characters made up. But yeah, that's getting a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style.
Oh, beat 'em up. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be up to 4-player co-op. It's available to wishlist on Steam at the minute.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'll check it out after. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Take a look at it. It does look really good. They've got some punk band or other to update the theme tune, which is catchy as hell. It's really good. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about his girlfriend. We'll talk about all the goodness. Talk
news, Toxie related or otherwise. I think that covers it for me. Unless you've got anything to.
No. I'm very boring this week. Nothing going on with myself. Nothing going on horror related that I'm aware of, other than what I was going to bring up, the Friday the 13th game. So I'm glad we covered that. No, I think that's about it. So let's get into the film after this break. We are doing the Toxic Avenger today. We are. And this was your pick. And I feel like I might have picked it down the line. But I feel like what we did last week with the Beyond, we kind of went back to we went through the film. We went through start to finish the film, and we kind of dabble with doing that with different films. I feel like this one, I don't feel like I've certainly not wrote notes in the way of going through the film, and I feel like the plot is so simple.
It's very simple, and
which you are going to describe.
Almost thin.
Yeah.
Simple to the point of being completely absent at times.
It's thin, but there's so much to pick out from this film to talk about. I have so much.
So in a nutshell, we have a superhero movie.
We do.
It's the first superhero from New Jersey.
Tromaville. I'll help you know. Tromaville.
No, it's Tromaville, New Jersey, though.
Sorry.
So yeah, Melvin Junko, I believe his surname is. Melvin Junko is a nerdy janitor who works in a gym, sports center, health center, fitness.
Fucking Roid Palace is what it is.
And yeah, it's filled with beautiful, young, vibrant people exercising and sweating and flirting and dancing, and he's very much the stereotypical sort of 80s nerd. He gets picked on, he gets made fun of. He's a bit of a laughing stock, and he's the victim of a prank.
It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. It's just a prank, bro. Come on.
It's just a prank. He's a victim of a prank. I mean, yeah, essentially he's tricked into putting on a tutu, and making out with what he thinks is a pretty young lady is then revealed to be a pig.
No, sheep.
A sheep, sorry.
Yeah.
A sheep. And he's hounded out of the building. But, I mean, that's the prank. And then, unfortunately, to escape the tormentors, he decides to throw himself through a window. And unbeknownst to him, an open truck of toxic waste
to be there.
just happens to be there. So he's doused in toxic waste and he mutates, becoming the tall, muscular, but frankly lumpy and disgusting mutant known as the Toxic Avenger. And he attempts to essentially go and get his own back on his tormentors via cleaning up the crime and the corruption of his hometown of Tromaville.
Nice pun there. Nice pun.
Thank you.
You're cleaning up.
It was intentional.
I bet it was.
And he meets a young lady along the way who falls in love with him, and
he meets her.
He rescues her from some ruffians.
Ruffians is right.
And it's quite a sweet, nice story, as my girlfriend said last night when we watched it. She's like, "Oh, it's lovely. He's got a girlfriend. It's really sweet." And I'm like, "Did you miss the bits where people's arms were being pulled off?" And
hey, it's fine. It's fine. You said it's a superhero film and it is sweet and nice at times. This is not a horror film.
No,
this is not a horror film.
Not in the traditional sense. No, I think it's broadly described as horror comedy. I mean, horror.
Yeah.
Arguably, the horror comes from like. It's splatter. There's a lot of gore.
The horror is our main antagonists and their hobby. Like in there, that's where the horror aspect is. Mm-hmm. Melvin's just doing his justice. Melvin is solving crime. He's cleaning up Tromaville. No, the antagonists. Oh no! They are the real horror here.
They are, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not a horror film. I think you'll find it in most. I think you'll probably find it in the horror section.
Oh, good, yeah, of course. It's a boner comedy as well.
But it's it's not a horror film in the traditional sense. It's definitely it's not a slasher or a haunted house movie or anything that can conceivably traditionally be called horror. But it's horror adjacent. There's a lot of blood and gore and some of the tropes of horror movies.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess you could. Visually, he could be scary to some, but when you add in the really soft, dulcet tones of his dubbed voice, merged with the dubbing of "Arr, arr, you'll be okay."
That's quite a good impression.
You'll be okay. I've got you now. Arr, 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 you're safe now. What? It's such a contrast.
It is. They do. There are a couple of scenes though. There are a couple of times where they try and portray him as being a monster. There's the scene with the girl in the sauna where he's.
Yeah.
I mean, they play it. It's like watching, Friday the 13th or something like that, where oh, somebody's approaching. I mean, it happens way too late in the film where we know it's toxic.
Yeah, we know. Yeah,
he's not. Not a monster as such. But
you say that as well. Like they do a great job of keeping his, for the most part, appearance face hidden for a long time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's say his final transformation, because obviously you've got once Melvin has fallen out of the first open nuclear waste barrel and he's writhing around outside the gym melting and whatnot, and then he gets back home to his bath and he's transforming and mutating even more. Like that's pretty gruesome. That's really gruesome.
And then some, body horror transformation scene type stuff in there.
And then it's his final look. It's like from the bath to his final look is quite a big gap. It's mostly shot from behind or his legs or his arms. I can't remember the exact time we see his face.
Is it the Mexican restaurant scene? I think it might be the Mexican restaurant scene.
Got a lot of notes on that scene. The transformation is really, it's for the both parts. So the first part, like I said, when he is writhing around on the street, it's horrific in the sense of obviously everyone else there is just a horrible person. No one's helping him. Like the police officer tries to help him and catches fire, but it's just the thought of some guy just covered in this nuclear waste that in theory, unless you've got a jet water gun to blast it off of him, he's just melting. It's just suffering so much.
I mean, he is.
The idea of it is horrific. And then in the bath, like scrubbing it off in the bath isn't doing anything, and you see his arm pulsating. They've got the classic effect with the tube going into the latex and blowing bubbles.
Yeah, balloon.
There's a sort of
skin just sloughs off.
Yeah, there's a sort of, I think it's an in-camera effect where the film sort of distorts and blurs a bit for him to transform. Like his head gets bigger, but the transformation's done really well, I figured. And the effects in general, like they're Troma effects, but they're good. I mean,
they're good enough. They are good enough. I mean, it's one of the whole things about Troma generally that you come to expect that it is gonna be. They are heart on their sleeve B movies. And you're not expecting anything fantastic, but that's very much the charm. Very much, certainly for me anyway, it's very much the appeal of them. Is that they are. Everyone is a so bad they're good kind of. It's almost like that's what they're aiming for. We know it's rubbish, but it'll be entertaining rubbish.
This is that to a T.
Yeah.
This is. You cannot take this film seriously a single minute of it. You just can't. It is what it is.
No, and every Troma film I've seen is exactly the same. It's loud, over the top characters, visual effects. Sleazy, trashy, punk rock.
Oh yeah,
DIY filmmaking. It's very, very grimy and dirty in many senses of of the word. But yeah, like you say, the effects, they do a decent job with what they've got, and some of it is surprisingly high budget, I'd say. I mean, at the end with the tank and like all those extras.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I was thinking, I was trying to watch that and try and see, is that other footage that they've spliced in? Is that stock footage? Have they?
I mean, yeah, it does. There is some stuff like the car chase and bits of the car crash and stuff that feel like it might be stock footage, and they're definitely reusing some bits and pieces. But then at the end there, yeah, it's it's a cast of.
It's a lot.
There's a couple of hundred people there, easy.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna give them a plug. Not that they would listen to this. There's my favorite YouTube channel called Red Letter Media. It's a movie channel, and I watch it religiously. They watch B movies, like videos from the 80s that you would never even heard of. Awful, hilarious films. And they came up with a great description of some of these sort of B movies called Shooting the Rodeo, where a director, if he needed a rodeo scene, he'd go down to the local rodeo, like in Texas or something, and film different shots, different angles, and then cut that into his film. So they didn't have to build a set, they didn't have to do a rodeo, shooting the rodeo. So I thought of that for this, that they maybe there was like a war reenactment or something, or like an army base, and they were just like, go capture it, and we'll splice that in. But I think
maybe.
Well, I think I don't think it is, because at the final shot when they're all aiming at the tent. In the field where the toxic Melvin is inside Toxic Avenger with his girlfriend, you see the tanks, you see the army guys.
Oh yeah, no. I didn't mean it's stock footage or they've filmed something else happening. But I was thinking maybe there was something going on and they've just gone and begged.
Yeah.
Lads. But I think with the Troma stuff, there's a lot more of that going on. There's a lot more sort of
being resourceful.
Beg stealing and borrowing, and can we borrow you for 20 minutes? Can we borrow that? Because it's a decent looking tank. It's not.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not cardboard, and like guys working it inside. You know what I mean? It's a real. It looked real enough to me. I mean, it may not be 100%, but
you get some films from maybe the 80s or 90s where they have like scenes with army in, and they either won't have the budget or just the way to source what they need, and they'll have outfits that from soldiers from like World War II with like rifles with bayonets or whatever. Like they won't be modern looking at all, and it will look so out of place. I know they did a good job with the.
It all looked reasonably.
But it was meant to be the National Guard, right?
Yeah.
It's not the army. It's not the full beans. It's the National Guard.
The National Guard. But even so, just for the sheer amount of people that are there, and that tank and stuff, that must have been a big chunk of the budget. When you think you've got earlier in the film, you've got like melons being used for people's heads, and I'm pretty sure spaghetti. Pretty sure spaghetti bolognese on a dog.
We'll get to the Mexican scene because that's one of my notes. We should have mentioned this before. We've mentioned the word Troma a lot. I don't think we've talked about what Troma actually is, because me and T did Mother's Day, and I don't think we talked about Troma. But I feel like we should talk about Troma just quickly about what it, because it's quite an important thing in the horror genre.
I think so. Yeah, they've been going for
nearly 40 years.
60 years, I think.
Well, next year is their anniversary, right?
That is the Toxic Avengers anniversary.
Oh, the Toxic Avenger. That's it. Yes.
It's 40 years of the Toxic Avenger. I think it started in the 70s as a company. I mean, they maybe not in terms of. I think the 80s is sort of like their big period for.
Oh, without doubt, yeah.
But yeah, they're essentially an independent film production company.
Yeah.
Prime, you know, these sort of splatter effect horror comedy things is, you know, 90% of their output.
Yeah, I mean, nothing is to be like we said, nothing's to be taken seriously with them, really.
I mean, they're big on. They're still going as a company today. I think they facilitate a lot of independent filmmakers' work, publishing it, and making it available online and through their streaming.
There's obviously an audience for it. There's obviously an audience still for it. And think about, you've got A24 on one side, you've got Troma on the other side.
Yeah,
that's your opposite of the spectrum, opposite ends of the spectrum, right there. Something like A24 definitely. Or Blumhouse and Troma over here.
I mean, it is huge. It is massive, and it's like I'm sure there are entire conventions dedicated to Troma.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the States.
Probably.
Yeah, it's hugely big, and yeah, kind of. I mean, I suppose more very popular with like that sort of alternative scene, that alternative crowd, punk rock.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that sort of a gritty, grimy, do-it-yourself aesthetic, and that appeals to, you know, the punks and the goths and the alt scene, and the alt crowd. But I mean, they've had some big names roll through Troma. Matt Stone got started thanks to Troma.
Yeah, I'm looking at that list now. I had no idea.
Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Oliver Stone.
I thought Samuel L. Jackson's first feature was True Romance in '93, which is one of my favorite films. And it says he was in Death by Temptation in 1990. Death by Temptation,
according to this.
Billy Bob Thornton, Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town.
Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town is brilliant. That's one of I've got a DVD of that as well. Yeah, Billy Bob's part in it is very minimal, but it is plastered all over. In the copy I've got, it's plastered all over the front, starring Billy Bob Thornton.
Of course,
it's not starring in it at all. He's got a very small part in it, but it is a wicked film. Marissa Tomei. Tomei. She's in Toxic Avenger.
I didn't even catch that she was in this.
Yes. In the scene where Toxic confronts I forget her name now, the girl that sets him up with the sheep.
The blonde girl. Yeah.
Yeah. In the scene where he confronts Julie in the locker room, the girl that comes out of the shower, I think she's wearing a towel, she's spraying hairspray or something, that's Marissa.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Nice little bit part then.
Mm-hmm.
I am really intrigued to watch Romeo and Juliet. It's also great play on words.
It is also very good. I've seen that one too. I mean, they're very prolific. They are. Yeah. I mean, they've produced, and this is just from the Wikipedia, produced and acquired and distributed over 1,000 films since they started. Yeah, they're incredibly prolific. I mean, it's probably fair to say that a good chunk of those films are not successful.
Probably not.
Toxic Avenger is probably by far their most famous production. But Class of Nukem High, the Class of Nukem High series is quite big as well. Cannibal the Musical is obviously the Trey Parker and Matt Stone's film. Mother's Day. There are a few that sort of have a little bit higher status and a little bit more recognition. But there's a lot of Redneck Zombies. I feel like that crops up quite often on a few lists. It also crops up quite a lot in titles of films. Zombies, rednecks, Nazis.
I feel like
there's probably a few sort of trending themes.
I feel like they would definitely do Werewolf Women of the SS if they could. But yeah, you mentioned Mother's Day. Do go. I'm going to put it here. It's up a card up here on the YouTube video, and it'll go straight to the Mother's Day episode. Do go check out our past episode on Mother's Day.
Classic.
I can't believe that was episode 8 of the Dreadcast. That was nearly
Classic
40
Dreadcast.
episodes ago. That was last year's Mother's Day we did that for. So yeah, go check that out. I enjoy Mother's Day. I enjoy Mother's Day. Actually.
I like Mother's Day as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's a bit weird at the end, a bit mad at the end, but yeah.
But yeah, what else? Poultrygeist, about the killer chicken. There is one about a penis monster.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
I can't remember the exact title of it, but there is one about a penis monster. But yeah, there's the Troma Dance Festival, which takes place at the same time as Sundance.
I think if we're still going next year, which we will be, touch wood, we'll do a big, either a month look or a few episodes or a series look on Troma. Oh wait, no, I keep getting confused. It's Toxic Avengers anniversary next year. When's Troma's anniversary? Let's pencil that in.
There are 3 of the Toxic Avenger movies to look at.
All right, fine. We'll talk about Troma more in another Toxic Avenger movie episodes then, because we got to get back to our mutant superhero.
We have. So anyway, yeah, that's a little look at Troma. Yeah, if you like schlocky, trashy,
big
movies,
schlocky.
There's always tons of gore and a little bit of nudity and stuff in there as well. You know, if you're into that kind of thing, then you probably are already aware of Troma.
Yeah.
But if not, then check them out.
It could be your thing.
Could be.
You might be missing out. I want to talk about something. I mentioned them earlier. I want to talk about the real antagonists, the real villains of this, because they are fascinating as characters. You get your jocks, your popular kids that are just douchebags in horror films, you know, and they normally get their comeuppance, but
yeah.
I don't think they've ever been as evil as the ragey assholes that are in this film. Look at the kid that in It. You've got the kids and you've got the evil kid who's really evil. I can't remember his name. I'm not a big fan of it. He's really evil, and you think, how is that possible for a kid to be that evil? But obviously it's fictional. It's written that way. These guys are another level. Bozo and Slug. Bozo and Slug. Bozo is the head. Bozo is the head honcho. Slug is his little worm tongue. Who I thought was Corey Feldman at one point.
He does have a look of him.
He's really Corey Feldman.
He does have a look of him. And I was looking, and I mean, it's probably worth just at this point talking about the cast. Most of them are famous for being in Troma films. I had a quick look over their credits on IMDb, particularly because I was trying to place Slug from something else.
Okay.
And it might just be that he has a look of another actor who I can't.
It's because he's got the red bandana as well. He just looks like Corey Feldman.
Looks like particularly 80s Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Like Lost Boys era.
Yes.
Corey Feldman, for sure.
That's the one.
But yeah, I look over their credits and like just sort of clicking on a few people at random just to see what else they might have done. And almost all of in that little bit on IMDb where it says mostly known for.
Yeah.
I didn't scroll through a lot of stuff, but it was mostly known for Class of Nukem High. Yeah. A Toxic Avenger. I think there was one actor, I can't remember who it is now, but he's been in every Toxic Avenger film. A bunch, they're all known for they're best known for just a bunch of Troma films, which again I think is, you know, it's kind of their sort of cheap and cheerful aesthetic is they reuse the same.
I can understand that. I fully understand that. There's so much to unravel with these guys. There's only in theory 4 of them. There's a 4 group. It's Slug and Bozo and Slug, and then you've got their 2 girlfriends, like Julie and someone else. I didn't really catch
Julie's one
names.
of them. I'm not sure we get the name of the other one.
Yeah,
I want to say Babs, but
we'll call her Babs.
We'll call her Babs. That might just be, you know, and
The
80s.
like there's all the other people in this gym. It's a gym.
Mhm.
They're we mentioned earlier. They're all hunkadelic. They're all beefcakes. They're all 80s model looking people, and for the most part, they're all probably arseholes as well. But these are the true arseholes, especially what they all do to Melvin. And as you see, like Bozo working out in the gym, that the roid rage is through the roof, and even after what they do to Melvin, it's like that he's victim blaming. He's playing the victim blaming card. It's like it's kind of like he made me do it. Like, you're fucking insane.
You can't take a joke. You can't take a joke.
He says if he can't take a joke, he stinks. Like this poor kid is rolling around on the floor, melting.
He is.
It's just a joke.
It's funny that you mention roid rage as well, because it's never actually like shown that that's what they're doing. Is it?
It's kind of implied because one of them
I think it's
sells drugs.
Sure.
You see one of the guys at the gym selling roids or whatever drugs. I assume
well, he sells a couple of syringes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To that girl.
So he's obviously got a market there at the gym. There's obviously no one looking out for anyone in that gym. It's just free for all. It's the roid gym. And then I wrote a few more, like when later on in the film they're playing squash.
Yeah.
Bozo's like, you watching, Julie? I'm gonna fucking hit this ball. I'm gonna kill it. It's just calm down, mate. It's just a ball.
And then he turns around and he sees Melvin. And screams. That's my boy. Yeah.
And then we go to their extracurricular activity, which is they go around at night looking for people to run over and kill.
Yeah.
And they give each other points on it.
Yeah. I mean, we see it early, just slightly
really early on.
See them before we see them in the car. It's Slug has it up in a cutout in his locker.
Got the signs.
I think it might be Wanda, the name of the other lady, Slug's girlfriend.
Okay.
And she's essentially saying, isn't she, like, next time you go out with Bozo, I want to come with you. And I think the headline is something like "Hit and Run Killer Strikes Again," or something like that.
And then, in the car, he's like, "What are the rules? Tell me the rules again, Julie." And it's like so many points for a Jewish person, so many points for an African American. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. So many points for a kid. And unfortunately, they find a kid on his bike having a lovely little stroll in the night.
Yeah.
What a time for a parent to let this kid out. That's
I mean, it is the middle of the night.
It's the parents' fault.
You've got to question that.
This kid would have been safe at home playing with his Transformer toys or whatever. I don't know. But no, this parent was like, off you go into Tromaville on your bike, middle of the night, on your bike.
Back in the middle of the night.
And they don't, like, they are intentionally looking for this. They spot this kid, they eye him up, and they're like, yep, he's our target. And they make him their target.
Oh, that's it, yeah. How much for a kid on a bike?
You got to finish him. You got to finish him off. They knock him off. He goes flying over, but he's not done. So they reverse. And is that what you were mentioning? The melon.
That's the head. That's the melon.
Yeah.
The head crushing scene. But not only that, the girls then jump out of the car and proceed to take photographs. They take Polaroids of this poor kid.
They act
his body's
like
still twitching.
That's a keeper. That one. Put that on the fridge.
They get their little grisly souvenirs out of it. Yeah.
Insane.
But then, just to cap it all off, as Bozo announces that he wants to do another one, Slug calls an early halt to proceedings. Announcing he has to go home because he's got church in the morning, and everybody goes, "Oh yeah, church."
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, you got to go. That reminds me of like, I hands up, not ashamed. Used to watch Jersey Shore. And they're all about they're all about God, love God, you know, love God. But in the nighttime, they're fucking fist pumping, trying to get with girls, being just absolute douchebags. God, man, love my God, love God. I love that contrast though of like, I gotta go to church.
I mean,
and they're just,
arguably this is early Jersey Shore.
This is the origins of the Jersey Shore.
This is the OG Jersey Shore crowd.
Oh, what a link. What a link. The original Jersey Shore is the Toxic Avenger. But yeah, these people are the horror aspect of this film.
Yeah.
They are. They are the villains. And like, not even just them. Not even just them. Every man in this film wants to rape.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going back to the fact that it's a superhero film. I mean, we think about like Gotham City crime levels. Like
everyone's crime. Everyone's doing a crime.
Everybody's a criminal. It's very much presented that it's the same in Tromaville. Everybody from the mayor down to, you know, the
mayor, the mayor,
the poorest guy on the street is a criminal essentially. There are very few like nice people. Like everybody is a criminal or a deviant, or you know, because there's a lot of like just colourful people, shall we say, like.
Yeah. Like it's a very eclectic group.
Even like all the gang members, one of them's painted up as a Harley Quinn. Like
yeah.
Is wearing the other wearing the dress. Was one of them known as Cigar Face because he smokes a cigar. Like,
and he puts the cigar out in his victim's face.
Puts it out on people's face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like a circus almost. Is this town?
And all these characters you just alluded to are kind of they're spread out. Like the film is kind of spread out into certain settings. So we've got the cigar face scene. You've got the Mexican diner scene. You've got what was the other one? I guess you've got the all the different fight scenes. Basically, there was a third one I was thinking of. I can't remember what it was.
It goes back to the gym, I suppose.
Probably the gym, yeah. Or in the car with Bozo at the end. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, yeah, the cigar face one. It's three of them, right? It's Cigarface, another guy, and another guy in a cross-dress.
And Knuckles and Nipples.
I wonder which one's Nipples.
The names of Scarface's buddies. As the cop says, Cigarface, what are you and your boyfriends up to, eh?
Yeah, and there's so many cartoonish aspects of this film as well.
I mean, yeah, there really is. And what I was going to say is, once we've got the sort of initial setup of Melvin's accident in the toxic waste, he becomes the Toxic Avenger. The rest of the film is almost, I mean, there are some actual montage sections in there, but the rest of the film is almost a montage of like Melvin fighting crime.
Yeah,
you know, there's a little bit of dialogue peppered in here and there of, you know, what the bad guys are up to and what the townsfolk think of Toxie. But by and large, the rest of the film is just one fight scene to the next. Toxie beats up this crowd of muggers. Toxie beats up that crowd of muggers. So on and so forth.
And then builds a nice encampment montage with his new blind girlfriend. We'll get to that. But for the most part, like you said, like for this part of the film, you've also got the incredible sound design of this film, where the soundtrack doesn't stop. The audio just keeps going. It's like an 80s compilation album of like B-sides that you've never heard of. There's no stopping. It's one song after the other, and it works so well. If you didn't have that, and you had more sort of ambient music and deep sound effects, and it wouldn't work as well. You need that goofy silliness of the 80s. It was the perfect era to do this in.
Yeah,
it really was. Like the 80s music is the perfect music for this film, for all these montage clips.
That opening tune, Body Talk by Sandy Farina, is an absolute bop. It's fantastic.
My first note that I took on my phone was this: love the Troma intro.
Yeah,
love it. It was brilliant. Yeah, the soundtrack. I mean, is there a soundtrack that you could buy for this?
I'm just.
I cannot imagine they paid to license a lot of music for this film. I can't imagine they would do something like that.
There are tracks. I don't know if it's available. I mean, there are cuts.
Yeah.
Ripped on YouTube and ripped from things. But I don't think there is an actual available copy anywhere that you could get.
Probably because they weren't allowed to.
I mean, yeah, probably.
In fact, they probably didn't pay to license. They probably didn't pay to license it. They just took it.
There are various Spotify playlists and such, but yeah, no, I don't think there was any formal release of anything. It's really confused by the fact that there is a music artist that goes by the name Toxic Avenger.
It's a good name. It's a good name. It's better than calling yourself Melvin, I guess. For that, sorry. Shout out to Melvins out there that listen to this. Okay. Just on the note of Melvin, it's quite mad how he is. He's the protagonist of the film, right? Mm-hmm. And as a character / actor, he's. I mean, I put the picture on the Instagram earlier just to, as a little coming soon for what episode's coming up on the podcast. And his face is very animated. He's got a very animated looking face. It's perfect. He's perfect casting for Melvin. But he's only in it. That actor is only in it for a good 15 minutes. Oh
yeah. And
that's it.
Once he's gone, he's gone. It's different. Obviously, there's an entirely different body type there, so the different actor takes
which
over.
you need. You can't. You would need it if you wanted that proper transformation. You need the Lou Ferrigno. You need the proper transformation. You need the hulky guy. It's just like you think of Toxic Avenger, you think of the word Melvin, you think of that face. Like it's still, even he was only in it for 15 minutes for a few scenes, but it's still got an iconic look, I think, for the whole, I guess, franchise as a whole. Because I can't imagine, I've never seen 2 or 3, I can't imagine him transforming back into OG Melvin.
No.
And us seeing him again.
I'm trying to think, because I've seen a little bit of 3. I can't say I've seen it in its entirety. So no, I can't speak for certainty. Perhaps there's an odd flashback scene here or there, maybe in some of the other ones. But no, by and large, Toxic Avenger is the Toxic Avenger, and Mark Torgl is the chap who played Melvin. And he's, to his credit, has gone on to essentially make a living about the fact that he was Melvin. And a chap called Mitch Cohen plays the Toxic Avenger as Toxie as we know him.
See, do you know who I thought instantly would make a great Toxic Avenger? Is Michael Berryman. Michael Berryman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has a condition where I think it's something like his teeth. He lost all his teeth, his hair, his nails, and he has some sort of muscle disfiguration. He's got a very iconic face, especially in the film industry. He's been in the film industry for decades. He was in the original Hills Have Eyes. House of Thousand Corpses, I believe. I think he was Tiny.
I was going to say, does he play Tiny in House of Thousand Corpses?
Yeah, he's
I'm pretty sure that's him.
You would know, if you don't know the name, you would know him if you showed you a picture. In fact, I'll put the picture right now in the YouTube clip so you can see. That's Michael Berryman. I feel like he'd do a great job. You could put the odd effects on him, he's a big guy, so you don't a big guy in the sense of he's not muscular, he's not hulking, but he's a stocky big guy, and I think you could still get away with him being a Toxic Avenger without having to put on like a fake muscles and whatnot. You could just mutate the hell out of him.
Yeah,
I think you do
definitely.
a great job.
I'm just scanning his movie credits now just to see if he has done any Troma films. And
oh yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Yeah,
he
may be bigger than that.
I mean, quite possibly. There are no titles that jump out at me as being definite Troma ones that I recognise, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's done a couple. But yeah, he is. You're right. He is. How tall is he?
Oh, he's got to be over 6. I mean, I'm 6'3". I would assume he's at least 6'3".
1.8 meters. What's that?
That's smaller than me. I think I'm 185. I think
6'1".
Yeah, wow.
6'1" on a bit. He's about as tall as I am.
Oh.
I think I'm. Yeah, that's. I don't
So
think I'm far
what we're saying is, I am better cast for Toxic Avenger than Michael Berryman is because I'm taller. Interesting. That
surprises me.
Yeah, I am very intrigued as to how. Now, Peter Dinklage is a fantastic actor. Obviously, he's a lot shorter. I am very intrigued as to how they've gone about this.
I wonder if he's doing the voice. If he's providing the voice.
That might make sense, yeah.
A part CGI character, if not whole CGI character. I hope not, because I'd like it to be practical effects, but he still could be doing the voice.
I didn't think about that because of obviously this has the dubbing as well. That would that would be good. Either way, he'll nail it because I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah,
Curious as to how they do it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You know, I didn't go for a piss or anything. All I wanted.
No.
I wanted my chocolate orange.
Oh, fair enough, mate.
It had been in the fridge long enough, so now it's just perfect.
It's just right.
Oh yeah.
It's not congealed into a giant chocolate cricket ball.
No. It's good stuff. Very underrated chocolate snack, that is.
Oh, I love the chocolate orange.
Oh, so good.
Just for Christmas.
No. All year round. But you know what isn't? What else isn't just for Christmas? It's the Toxic Avenger.
The Toxic Avenger, nice.
Sit round the table and watch Toxic Avenger. Yeah. The Mexican restaurant scene.
We have to talk about the Mexican restaurant.
We have to talk about this scene.
It's I feel like I said, probably should have made a note of this and didn't. But I feel like this is the first time we see Toxie properly,
possibly
in all his glory, rather than just because the big scene with him before that is with Cigar Face, and it's just it's snatches of it and the mops in the mouth and stuff. I feel like this is the first time we properly see him. So go on, take us through what happens in the Mexican restaurant.
So it's a diner / Mexican restaurant. It's kind of laid out to look like it could be like a Wendy's or a McDonald's. It's not that appealing of a Mexican restaurant.
I mean, it's got samurai swords on the wall, so
Yep. Fine. We'll talk about
how authentic the cuisine is in this play.
I mean, you went straight to the samurai swords. We'll talk about that now. There's like about 4 katanas on the wall of this Mexican restaurant that one of 3 said robbers that end up holding the place up takes advantage of, rips it off the wall, and tries to fight the Avenger with. Why the fuck there are katanas on the wall of a Mexican restaurant? above where a mother and her baby were sitting defies logic, but we're talking about a Troma film called The Toxic Avenger. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter.
I mean, the other thing as well is that this does that great thing that always used to make me laugh in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That everybody knows karate, everybody knows a martial art of some description. It always struck me in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe. You became a vampire, like you knew kung fu as well. That was part of the gift, part of the package. So yeah, all the burglars, the armed robbers or whatever, they're all throwing out roundhouse kicks and kung fu moves and stuff.
Like the amount of a roundhouse kick, to execute that properly, the amount of training, stretching, fitness you'd need to have to really implement that perfectly. It's insane. So these, I mean, to be fair, then these robbers are really putting in the work.
Yeah,
you know, they got the face paint down to a T. They're doing a good job with that. It's 3 of them. Do you have the names? Because I didn't take their names down.
I don't. I didn't make a note of them, but
it's okay. That's all good.
He says it as well, doesn't he? Names.
Yeah.
But I can't remember for the life of me what they are now. I think compared to Knuckles, Nipples, and Cigarface, I feel like they've all got relatively normal names.
Yeah,
like it's Rich and Julio and John or something.
So there's 3 of them, and the leader, shall we say, gives the usual stick off, play along, everyone will be okay, and we'll get out of here. Job done, you know? Never goes down that way. It reminded me of a shit version of Tim Roth holding up the restaurant, the diner in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
But that didn't go his way either. But obviously, this doesn't go to their plan. They start harassing the customers. And what I'm about to say obviously gets completely overwritten because it's a Troma film, so it gets its excuses. But insane to think that they shot a scene with a guy holding a prop shotgun, I hope, aimed at a baby in the same cut, in the same shot. Literal shot. Baby to the left crying, prop shotgun right there. Just the visual of that. Like, you ever get like say it's a BB gun or any type of gun, you never aim it at someone, even if it's not loaded. You just never do it. But to do it with a prop, like, there's been accidents with firearms. Like, look at Brandon Lee in The Crow. Right, it was a big accident.
Recently than that as well.
Oh God, Rust. Were you talking about that with Alec Baldwin?
Baldwin, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that to me was just insane. I don't care if it's a prop. You just don't do it. But they did it, and they did it. And the guy in question with the shotgun, he is the one you mentioned earlier with the Harlequin face paint.
Yeah.
And
Rico, I think
Rico.
I think those three guys' names are Leroy, Rico, and Bruce, possibly.
Well, the third one is kind of, I think, the run to the litter. He's the one that goes to the cash register and is trying to open it. He shoots it with the gun just to open it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have destroyed all the...
He also just keeps kissing the guy he's got. I think he's supposed to be like, you know, a little slow on the uptake.
I would say so. But Rico, the one with the gun, he's a bit trigger happy. And he expresses his trigger-happy frustration with one of the customers who tries to be a hero. Don't try and be a hero. Don't ever try and be a hero with psychos like this. He gets blasted. And then they move on. To, I don't have a name, the blind lady in the restaurant. Sarah, there we go. Thank you. Sarah. And you can tell she's blind because she looks everywhere at once. She can't see anything, and she has a guide dog. And they begin their antics with her. And thank God Melvin shows up, because it's at that point where it's like starting to get a bit uncomfortable. It's starting to get really uncomfortable.
I mean, just before that, we have like the dog gets murdered. Like,
Is that before they
blasted.
start getting
Yeah,
uncomfortable?
yeah.
Okay, so, well, he gets blasted with the spaghetti gun. Because he's still breathing when they cut to him on the floor.
When it cuts to the dog dead, it's quite clearly breathing heavily, and is just
dropped some stuff on it.
Looks to be covered in spaghetti. Yeah.
Didn't even try for that shot.
That was one of the moments where I realised my DVD had been my version of the film on DVD was a little bit more heavily edited, because it's a very quick cutaway, which isn't on screen long enough to show that the dog's very clearly still breathing. I mean, I obviously don't want to see a real dead dog in any way, shape, or form. But when the dog is supposed to be dead and you can quite clearly see it breathing, it tends to break the immersion and
It's clear as day. It's clear as day.
It's a little too far of a stretch of my suspension of disbelief. So yeah, it's a lot quicker cut in the DVD version that I've got, and it came as a massive shock and made me howl with laughter when I realised that it's just a dog with some spaghetti on it.
Yeah, it's probably the saddest part of the film when the dog dies.
That
always
happens.
The saddest part.
That happens first, and it's then that Leroy decides to take the assault one step further. With the line, always did want to cornhole me a blind bitch, which in terms of dialogue, I mean,
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. I mean, there's a lot of like, not a lot, but there's a few examples of really quite inappropriate language. Certain words used and things.
Leroy is the Harlequin guy. Just checking now. Rico. Rico is the guy at the cash register, and the other one.
Or is it Johnny? Not Bruce. Johnny.
Let's have a look. No, not getting anyone. Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Annoyingly, not everybody has a photo on their cast.
Here we go. Well, one thing we can say is the guy that gets his arm ripped off and then takes a few seconds to realise he's had his arm ripped off.
What's funny about that scene as well, about that wound and that injury, is that his arm isn't ripped off deliberately. Like, it's not. Toxic doesn't grab his arm and like wrench it off.
No,
like, he attempts to throw him over his shoulder, like sort of judo style.
Yeah.
And in the momentum of pulling the arm, pulls the arm off.
Without any struggle, really. It just sort of falls off.
Yeah, it does just come off.
Can't find the guy's name. Probably should have noted that down. Sorry, folks. I'm going to just say leader of the burglars.
I mean, it's not a huge detail, really. The guy's not alive long enough for it to be hugely important.
You can kind of see as well his real arm as a lump inside the jacket as well that he's wearing. Which adds to the charm.
It does add to the charm, and we're not. You can be there all day if you're going to nitpick.
Oh God, yeah,
silly things. But as one more little sort of blooper that I noticed in this scene is when whichever one of it is that gets thrown over, he gets thrown over things repeatedly, and it keeps doing this slow motion effect of him, sort of $6 Million Man, like slow motion. Oh, as he's falling, he gets thrown over the counter. And a bunch of like taco shells land on him.
Yeah,
And
lots
then
of them.
in the very next cut, it's tortilla chips that are on him and not taco shells.
I thought I noticed that. Yeah.
It's just a really small little continuity error, but
Maybe,
it goes from being covered in taco shells to Doritos.
or maybe they were the taco shells that cracked and formed little triangle pieces of the
Maybe.
taco
Perfect.
shells.
I mean, that is how they make Doritos, I believe.
Yeah.
They just break.
But, so it's like after what would we call him? Toxie? Did you call him Toxie?
Yeah.
After Toxie comes in to save the day, the way he disposes of our burglars. So obviously he's obviously ripped off the arm of the head burglar and then beats him up with his own arm. How does he finish him off? I remember the other two.
He finishes him off by putting him in the pizza oven.
Oh, that's it. Yes, I remember that because I have the quote of what the police officers say when they end up at the restaurant to see what's happened. So he gets pizzaed. Rico gets his hands deep fried.
Yes.
And I guess dies from shock.
He just
but
kind of
like Toxie
goes unconscious.
Bends the pipes around him, the rubber pipes around him. And the best one, I'm not sure how he dies from this, either just some suffocation of ice cream. Leroy gets made into an ice cream sundae.
He does.
And it's very methodically done. Like, he really...
It is quite... We get, like, everything.
Picks everything that needs to go into this stuff and then puts him under the very visceral, dangerous ice cream mixer
thing, yeah.
That goes into his mouth.
We only get like a really small little squirt of blood while that's going on.
Yeah, it's probably chewed up his tongue and inside his mouth, but that's it. He's dead. He dies from that. And it's when the police turn up, you get where was it? Oh no, I had it. Oh no. Oh, here we go. Oh no, this is embarrassing. Did I not write it down?
Oh, what the cops say.
Oh, what did they say? I wrote this down.
I can't remember. They're all eating though.
I got it.
You got it.
It's like, well done. Well, for one thing, the police what would you call him? Sergeant is very I want to say not late 30s, early 40s German.
He's the police chief.
Yeah, very German military. Very early 40s German military.
Yeah, which becomes more overt as the film goes on. I mean, it's a very extreme example of how sort of corrupt and evil all the authority figures of the city are.
Yeah. So when he turns up, he's like, oh, what's happening here? We got a taco supreme over here. We got a strawberry thick shake, and I got a pizza in the works to go. They don't give a shit. They're just being so comical about these. I mean, fair enough. They were holding up the store. They threatened the baby. They painted the dog, and they killed a makeshift hero. But they're just like, whatever.
Oh, they're all sort of wisecracking gumshoes. Yeah, they're all eating the relevant foods as well.
They are.
I think.
I also noticed with this scene, after the cigar face scene, you've got the continuous shot of, say, like the victims looking like they're about to constantly pass out of seeing what Toxie's doing. They're going like boss side, they're about to pass out. They can't believe what they're seeing, rubbing their eyes.
Yeah.
What's looking bewilderment. Again, so cartoonish, but it fits so well. It's a hell of a scene. And then he obviously, which I don't think we've mentioned earlier on, his mop isn't necessarily his weapon, but it's what he uses to finish off. It's his
His like calling card, yeah.
Yes, that's it, calling card. Yeah. It's like his calling card.
His little signature. He wedges a mop in there mouths or in their face, or inserts a mop into them. I mean, just
Yeah.
one thing is, because we get, it's not long after this that we get into the sort of montage stuff of Toxie, like, you know, beating up various villains and preventing various crimes and stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing is to be said, that none of these villains are remotely scary.
No.
They're all
Not at all.
ridiculous caricatures. I mean, if they're not painted like Harlequins, they're just like, I mean, not even stereotypical. There's a little bit with like the bikers harassing Sarah later on.
Yeah, they're hooligans,
and they all,
I guess.
Yeah,
Delinquents.
But in sort of like that throwback 1950s Grease sort of toughs.
It's like one's gonna flick out a knife and start combing his hair back.
Or they're gonna like jump up and start like clicking in unison and perform a well choreographed dance number.
And then they're gonna race. They're gonna race for her love.
Yeah, they go by. They'll play chicken at Dead Man's Cove.
Yeah, they're really not that threatening. They're really not. And like I said, people like Bozo and Slug, they are. I mean, look what they do to that old lady.
Aside from the fact that they're called Bozo and Slug. But yeah.
It's like, Julie's not here. I'm getting dressed, Slug. Julie's not here. And then they look over and see an old lady struggling with her car. Kill her and take her car. Just because they needed a car. Just because. In broad daylight, with people walking around. They have no...
Yeah, they definitely are the worst.
They are pure evil. They really are.
So we get... Well, this is... because of the... I was going to say shootout, but it's not a shootout. Because of the fight at the diner, the Mexican restaurant. This is Toxie is introduced to his love interest. This is where he meets Sarah, the aforementioned blind lady, who, you know, falls in love with Melvin, with Toxie, because of his inner beauty. Because obviously she's blind and she can't see what he looks like, so she's not instantly freaked. She's not instantly freaked out and run screaming from him. She has time to get to know him as the real person that he is.
That's the message of the film, folks.
Which is, as well as, you know...
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Crime doesn't pay and pollution's bad. It's also... You know, it's quite progressive, really. We've got environmental issues being dealt with in this film, you know, searching for inner beauty and stuff. There's... Outside of the ridiculous, over-the-top violence, there's some real...
He's got a heart.
Some real heart and real messages for this movie.
Yeah. I love the montage of him and his girlfriend. That where they're putting their shack together, having fun. They're running around, skipping along, like all these little things. So cheesy and stupid, but it's so
there
perfect.
Are some very silly gags. There are some very silly. I mean, there's one where he's fooling around with a traffic cone on his head and like, hey, and it cuts to Sarah like laughing. I mean, she's blind. No idea. She has no idea what he's doing. So there's also another little, you know, pun not intended, visual gag, when she arrives back at her place and needs a cane.
I love that.
And there is a stack of like 30 to 50
everywhere.
Like, what? I mean, canes.
It's a cane, yeah,
cane. All the same sort of style, like the you know, aid cane. And she just sort of reaches for one and knocks over the remainder of them. That
felt very Naked Gun-esque.
Yeah.
It really did.
There's some silly stuff in there.
A lot of it there's another montage where he's going around doing good deeds. Like he's helping the old lady cross the road, or he's there's a like a housewife. She's struggling to open a jar in the kitchen. He just pops by the window and is like, "Oh, I'll help you there." Opens the jar. Okay. It's just brilliant. It's not a horror film.
No, it's not. It's not. It's very silly. It's a very silly superhero film. But yeah, he's and that's we get a couple of sort of big extended cuts of him like fighting crime and doing good deeds, and then people are selling T-shirts. There's the I love the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
And the whole town.
Do they call him that? Do they call him that?
Is it the monster?
I don't think it's specifically the Toxic Avenger.
No, I think it says something like I love the Tromaville monster or something.
I wonder if I can find. Oh, yeah, here it is. I love the monster. Yeah,
the monster.
But it's been sold by kids. How could they afford to get them printed? How are they? I'm thinking in an adult business sense here.
I think they're resourceful little street urchins, aren't they? But this sort of love for the monster, love for Toxie, is how he becomes a target of the sort of head of the criminal fraternity, criminal network in Tromaville, which is the mayor. So that's how it's the citizens' love for him, and they're all really pleased that he's finally cleaning up the streets and cleaning up the crime. But we find out that all these petty criminals that he's taking down are actually in the service of the incredibly corrupt mayor, who's responsible
very corrupt
for all the bad stuff that's going down in the old town there.
They also talk outright about. I don't know the wording exactly, but they may as well have just said, "We're criminals and it's great." They may as well have just said that.
They do. I think we get a scene. He's always the mayor is. I guess in over like 50% of his appearances on screen, he's naked, being massaged while led next to a giant Subway sandwich.
Yeah,
he is. Like if he's not like shouting about "Get me the Toxic Avenger" or "Get me the catch this monster," he's surrounded by babes eating a big sandwich.
He wants photos of Toxic Avenger now. He's basically the J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, but yeah, there is a point where he's being massaged, and the drug dealer from the gym comes over and hands him an envelope or a bag of money or something, and he calls it the takings from the drug program or the drug rehabilitation program. It's like a really obvious, like this is drug money I'm giving to you. Wink, wink.
Yeah. We love crime. Love it. We love crime.
Yeah, that's it's very silly and very over the top. I mean, the corrupt chief of police is essentially, a high-ranking official.
Well, the mayor. Go on.
No, I was just gonna.
Where were you going with that?
Just gonna say Nazi without saying Nazi, but it's easier to just say.
A very bad time ago.
Yeah, from a very bad time.
The mayor also gets spaghetti put on him at the end.
He does.
And it happens in two different places.
Doesn't it?
Well, the ending is obviously Toxie out in the field in a tent with his new partner, and and everyone who's hunting for him discovers where he is. That's where the National Guard come in. So the mayor. That's where everyone who's hunted him basically surrounds the tent. Yeah. And it is Toxie that kills the mayor, right? It must be because of what happens.
Yeah, he punches into him.
Yeah, he rips his guts out. But for the one shot, it's down where his intestines are. When he falls down to the ground, it's like it may as well be up where his heart is. Oh, and it's really? just a dollop. It's just a dollop of meat on top of him.
I love that he does that. Though. He pulls the mayor's guts out.
Yeah,
and everyone claps.
Yeah, because they've all come around to realizing he is the hero.
But none of them know that the mayor's actually a criminal.
No, they just clap.
So they just like it's not. There's no big revelation scene where excuse me, where the mayor's exposed as being, corrupt and a criminal. As far as everybody in that field is concerned, Toxie just kills the mayor for no reason.
Yeah, and then yay,
And everyone starts clapping.
Yay. Yeah, for the most part, like, yeah, that was the end that we talked about throughout the film. You've got the big diner scene, you've got the 3 gangsters that he fights to beforehand. But really, Toxie's nemesis and the people he's really should be getting back at are Bozo Slug and the 2 women, the 2 girlfriends, and that doesn't really happen for a majority of the film.
No,
he's dealing with a lot of other things.
Yeah, it's not like, and they're not really related. It's not like what they're doing is part of the criminal network, and he's sort of Punisher style taking down the entire organization.
No,
he's essentially just that's sort of a byproduct, or his revenge against Bozo and Slug is secondary to this like new goal he's got of cleaning up the town. But I mean, he does eventually get Slug and Bozo. I mean, Bozo, how does he get Slug? Bozo gets in the car chase.
Are they in? They're in the same. Well, I think they're in the same car, aren't they? Because it's the car that
it's the car that they steal from the old lady. He goes after the girlfriend separately, doesn't he? That's what I was thinking of.
I'm gonna get it up now and just have a quick look. See, obviously, Bozo. He's fighting with Bozo in the said car, and he makes Bozo crash. That's how. And he makes the car crash over, drive over a hill and land, and it explodes. And then after the fire's gone out, he just casually climbs out and walks away. It's great.
Yeah.
Because what's the fire going to do to him?
So many good. But I mean, he gets the girls in the gym. One of them is in the sauna.
Yeah.
Where we have this. Well, it's a callback, isn't it? We have this sort of bag on the head, like and it's a callback to how Slug sort of sneaks up on her.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, but it's this sort of like, is he a monster? Very Friday the 13th-esque, and does he feed her hot stones? I can't remember exactly what he does.
Here we go. I've got it right now. So he's Julie. Is the blonde? The
blonde is Julie.
Yeah. So he approaches her in the locker room. She then runs down to what looks like the boiler room in the basement.
Yep, that's right, and that's where we get the Marissa Tomei cameo.
Yeah, and here he is about to scissors. He's got a pair of scissors, and she is the kill is off camera. The kill then leads to being off camera leads to Bozo complaining that Julie is late, and he's stressing him out.
That's it.
Yeah, and he's losing his shit. But as they're in the car, okay, there's the old lady. She's pieced out. Okay, Toxie climbs on top of the car as they're driving. Corey Feldman is shouting up at him. And then Toxie grabs Corey Feldman by the throat and just yeets him out the car.
Out of the car.
That's it. He's gone, and he's dead.
I mean, the only other noteworthy kill that we can't neglect to mention is the old lady in the dry cleaners.
I forgot. I wanted to ask you, but I specifically asked you about that. Why did he kill her?
Now, we find out after the fact, because he kills this old woman.
Yeah.
In this dry cleaners. He puts her in a dryer. And then he puts her under one of the big sort of pressed down.
Yeah, he does, and you're not allowed to use that.
No. while the owner of the dry cleaners is getting a ticket.
Yeah.
He comes back inside. And for a minute, and this is how the mayor uses attempts to sort of get some leverage against the monster, and this is how he gets the National Guard involved and stuff, is because this monster has You know, he's not been he's been cleaning up the town and he's been fighting all these criminals. But look, he's killed an innocent old lady.
Yeah.
But then it's revealed that actually she was the leader of a slavery ring or something. They say
I completely missed that.
it's announced that because somebody says something like, "Well, what about the old lady in the dry cleaners?" And it's one of the police officers or somebody says, "Well, it turns out that Mrs. I forget her name, Mrs. Smith, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
It wasn't the pillar of the community that we thought. It turns out she was the leader of a white slavery ring." And everyone goes, "Oh, well, that's okay then."
I completely missed it.
I think she's also supposed to be Slug's mother.
Yeah, I did initially assume she was somehow connected to them. Like he was going for like a relation somehow to get to them eventually.
Because when she first turns up in the dry cleaners, she mentions her son. In fact, it might even be sons. It might even be that Slug and Bozo are brothers.
His genes, because his genes have got something on them.
That's it. His genes have got stains on them.
Yeah, horrible.
And horrible. But she mentions about how they're such good boys, and it's definitely an allusion to something they've done. And it might even be a reference to them driving. They're always out driving in their car or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think she's supposed to be their mother. But yeah, it also turns out she's a heinous criminal in her own right as well.
I can't believe I missed that.
That's the reason. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, she wasn't a pillar of the community that we first thought.
Oh man. Yeah. I think that's all the kills now. I think we've pretty much wrapped up.
Certainly the ones that we see in any detail. Apart from Julie's death, obviously.
Yeah, which is off camera. Yeah. And the other one.
It seems an odd choice, that, given that. Yeah, there's no real reason for it to be off camera.
Oh, here we go. Here's the other lady. She is in the sauna and picks her up. There's Daddy Longlegs in front of me. Puts her bottom on the hot coals.
Press her on the hot coals.
And burns her bottom. Still burning. And that's it. And the next scene cuts straight to him pissing blue. Go away. Getting attacked by Daddy Longlegs. Anyway, it cuts to him pissing blue, and that is actually the last note I have. That was, I mean, I guess that's kind of put that in there to really emphasize the fact he is a mutant, and this is part of his body now. It's quite substantial, the pissing, as I'm looking. It's like a hose. Like the water, the amount of water spurting out of him. Well, it's a lot.
He's a mutant, and he's a big, tough. Everything about him's super human and extra. So yeah, of course, he does big wee wees.
He does.
Big,
do you have
big blue wee wees.
Do you have much else on the film as a whole?
No, I think that pretty much covers. I mean, we've covered everything there. Like we said at the beginning, in terms of plot, there's not it's very simple. It's very straightforward, and there's a good chunk of the film that is these various montage scenes. I mean, the only there's a little bit more of we could have mentioned about the montage between the love scene montage.
Yeah. Oh, God,
there is almost a sex scene between Sarah and Toxic.
There is.
There's a little bit of pillow talk, and I'm surprised that they didn't go a little bit further with that, given...
I thought they did. I thought the scene... I thought they did the business.
Oh, no, they do. Yeah.
They do the business.
But in the scheme of a Troma film, I feel like it's quite subdued.
Oh, there's one more. There's one more kill we didn't talk about, and it's a great one. It's another melon squashing.
Oh, the drug dealer with the gym.
Yes, it's
Yes.
brilliant because they don't. I never set foot in the gym in my life. Can you tell? I don't know what the machine is. He's laying on his back, pumping iron up and down, and Toxie.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. It's
brings
some sort of thing.
Yeah, brings the gentleman's head into the space of where the weights will go up and down. And it just happens to be this metal rod that holds the weights that has a spiked end to it, and he forces it down into this drug dealer's head. But they don't cut away as quick as they normally would once the head has been completely crushed. It stays on it for a good 1 or 2 seconds, and parts of it just fall off and move, and it's a great effect. Really nice effect. Yeah, there it is. Oh, and then he leaves the mop as his calling card on top of it. Oh, and that's what's really cool is when they do linger on the crushed head, there's animatronics involved. So somehow the body's hands are still moving around like this, like my head. But the half the head, which is literally the bottom of the nose and the mouth, is the animatronics. It's moving around. It's pretty cool. That's quite a big effect for the film.
I think so. I mean, 1984. I just wonder. I imagine that they do reuse a lot of bits and pieces across films where they can, but I think Toxic Avenger is the earliest. I don't want to say the first because I'm not sure on that point, but it's the earliest. I was going to say it's the earliest Troma film that I've seen, so I can't say for certain that I can't say if there's another that effect gets used anywhere else, but yeah, I don't know if there were films that came before that they took that from. But yeah, again, like surprisingly for what are generally considered to be entirely like low budget schlocky, rubbishy B movies, there are these moments where there must have been some budget somewhere, or they've got hold of some effects from somewhere. They've managed to cobble together things, and there's all of a sudden just an oddly high production value thrown in that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
I mean, the budget was $500,000 and it made 800, which is good, great for what it is. It made a profit, and $500,000. But what it is for the studio, that's not bad.
That's not bad, really. No.
That feels quite high for Troma for who they are. I could see this. I could probably see this film as a film of two halves in a way, two stories. Because, like I mentioned, how Melvin's story regarding him being bullied kind of stops after he becomes the Toxic Avenger for a while. That is the first part where it's really that's it. That is the story. Melvin is being bullied, and then he gets. It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. You get pranked. It's just a prank. And if you can't take the joke, he stinks. And then we suddenly cut to what he becomes, being the crime fighter, and then we go back eventually to the first story. So it's kind of a film of two stories at some point. But I definitely remember as a kid or a teenager having the misconception that this was like one of the most extreme films ever made, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to see that! This is how can I watch this? I need to see this." I think.
So you had seen this before? This
a long time ago, But I think when we've obviously delved into the horror genre over the years, a hell of a lot more. We've seen a lot more graphic things than this.
Yeah,
it's not that graphic for the most part, and even after the title it says contains extreme violence at the beginning. For the time, probably it was, but I guess over time,
I mean, it depends how it's framed, I suppose. Like somebody getting the head crushed, not necessarily extreme, but when you consider that someone is a 13-year-old kid or whatever he's supposed to be, then it has that extra element to it, doesn't it? Like you say, somebody threatens a baby with a shotgun.
Yep.
We get quite a graphic, shot of a dog being killed. So there's stuff that does cross boundaries. I
Yeah.
think that will cross that line for a lot of people. So yeah, it is extreme in that regard.
Possibly
Toxic Avenger was
violence.
Troma's 10th film, by the way.
Okay.
So potentially, Mother's Day was a few films before this.
Yeah,
So
it was
potentially they
1980.
made. You've got to suggest that they've made a bit of money from previous things, but they did like a bunch of raunchy sex comedies in their sort of earlier days, almost like Porky's style stuff. And then it gets sort of more into the horror genre, as we call it, a little bit. I want to see rabid grannies. That's one.
Well, don't we all? Don't we all, folks? Don't we all? It's on the list. It's high up on the list.
There's extreme elements to it, but some stuff is I think you just find that, don't you? Like, you hear about films when you're younger and you think, like, oh, it's for whatever reason, it's you're told about something or you see something and you build a story in your head about as to what it's about, and it's not until you see stuff years later you think, like, oh, I don't know where that came from. And then if there's a lot of like media buzz and like negative media buzz in terms of like, what's the phrase I'm looking for, the video nasties and such like, then everybody's judges stuff and prejudges things before they've seen it, and they present this sort of skewed picture of what things actually are. So it's kind of easy to do, I think. There'll definitely be films. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a good example of that. I can remember seeing figures in a toy shop. Like, we had a toy shop in town when I was a kid growing up that had, it was all these sort of Barbie dolls and Action Man and stuff downstairs, and then upstairs they had like model kits and sort of more collectible items and things, and they always had a bunch of horror figures. And I remember I used to see this Leatherface figure. It's one of them, like, it's probably worth a fortune if I'd have been able to get it at the time or whatever. But, I used to see this Leatherface statue, this Leatherface figure, and think, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, what's that about? And you expect it to be a Chainsaw Massacre in Texas, and there's nobody gets killed with one person gets killed with a chainsaw in that film.
I talked about that when we talked about our top 5 horror films, and I remember specifically in school, and it was like a Chinese whisper, a word of mouth thing. Chinese whispers, word of mouth thing, where someone had watched it with their dad, and he was like at school, like, oh my god, it was so gory. Like, you see the guts coming out when he chainsaws, and I'm like, whoa, this is incredible. Oh, I gotta see, and it never happens.
No, you don't see,
which is
like
fine, absolutely fine. But it's you build it up in your head so much. It didn't ruin it for me. It definitely didn't ruin it. But Chainsaw Massacre.
You think of things in a different way, and you get a different impression of stuff. I can remember as a kid, like, being terrified of Freddy Krueger before us. And it took me a long time to watch. I was terrified. Not seen Nightmare on Elm Street, wouldn't watch it, wasn't interested. It was terrified of Freddy Krueger. And I remember, but also weirdly fascinated with stuff, as you kind of are when something scares you. You kind of want to know. You don't want to watch it, but you want to know as much about it.
Have to know.
And I remember this kid telling me about it because he'd seen it, and he told me all sorts of stuff. I mean, I can't remember word for word what he said. There was probably stuff that he'd made up in there. But I had this vision of this being like this happens and this happens and this
Yep.
happens and this happens. It turned out later on, subsequently, as I watched the movies and found out, that he basically was telling me stuff from part 4, from part 5, from part 3. So when I first watched the first one,
Yeah.
I was like thinking none of that stuff that he was saying is in this. But then I found out he was just basically telling me like everything that happens.
He just sort of merged it into one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating, that whole mindset. You build stuff up like that they're bigger than they are in a way. I think for this film specifically, it was like the whole idea of extreme violence and gore noted. It was just so, whoa, this is going to be incredible. I think having a film with the name Toxic in it as well did it for me, because I'm a little bit fascinated with, even with stuff like Chernobyl, nuclear bombs. It's all fascinating. I mean, toxic and toxic waste. It's quite fascinating. You put it in a horror genre.
It's that joke in it though. It's like when I was a kid, I thought as an adult I'd have to deal with quicksand and toxic waste. Because it was in everything. I mean, my introduction to Toxic Avenger was the cartoon. Before I knew of Troma and the films, as I said earlier, it was that cartoon, and I had a couple of the action figures. I was like, oh yeah, it's this cool, like lumpy green mutant guy that fights people with a mop. He has a little mop. It's almost like it's like a talking mop head.
Oh, cool,
like
cool.
Buddy in the cartoon, almost like a snarf,
like a sidekick.
Little, it's a little talking mop head. And I was like, and I watched this cartoon, and it wasn't until I was a teenager and I was like, oh, Toxic Avenger.
Yeah,
that's where that cartoon came from. I was, and I watched it, so I guess I kind of knew a little bit more of what to expect with it. But yeah, like you say, you see a title, you see. I mean, we've mentioned this several times. You'd see posters, or you'd see a cover.
Oh, the poster as well. Yeah.
And go, oh, what's that?
Striking. It's different. I mean, the poster for this film alone is mad. You would never see anything like this. It's an illustration of him holding his mop with the American flag behind him.
Yeah.
He was 98 pounds of solid nerd until he became the Toxic Avenger. It's incredible.
There's some great Troma. There's a book actually that I'd love to get a copy of, which is a collection of all the Troma artwork and
that'd be
movie
cool
posters, because there's some fantastic one. There's a movie called When Nature Calls from 85.
It's Ace Ventura.
No. This is and the cover is a Mills and Boon style Gone with the Wind parody. But it's a bear sort of swooning the woman instead of like, the hunky, but he's got a shirt like open to the chest, but it's a bear.
Why not? Yeah.
Amazing.
I was just trying to see, you just mentioned book of posters, this book, The Art of Horror movie posters.
Oh, nice.
I was just trying to see if there are any, because this basically includes alternate versions of posters. So like the Satanic 70s, you go to the 80s. I was just trying to see if they included
if they've got any Troma in there.
Well, I mean, there's one from last week for the YouTube viewers. House by the Cemetery there. You can see that in the corner there. Yeah.
And there's another there, Toxic Zombies. But yeah, like you say, I think, I mean, well, I guess, toxic, the word, and toxic waste, I suppose it probably was, Chernobyl disaster and things like that. Things were happening in the world, and people were starting to get a sense of, environmental issues and things like that.
Would have been Cold War time as well, right?
Yeah, so people, nuclear fallout and nuclear radiation in particular.
You just keep your waste in the barrels with the tops open. It's fine. On an open bed, flatbed truck?
On an open flatbed truck, exactly. But I mean, Return of the Living Dead and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah. Trioxin.
it's all military chemical stuff and dodgy toxic waste, and there's a lot of, it's all sign of the times kind of stuff in it.
Since you mentioned that, that may be my birthday film.
Yeah, I
because I adore Return of the Living Dead. So I'll think about it. Yeah,
dying to watch it again myself, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do about that. I would say that probably pretty much wraps up the Toxic Avenger for tonight.
I think so.
I'm not saying that because I'm melting in this room. I'm definitely not saying that, and I'm not saying it because I feel like I'm melting and going to become the Toxic Avenger. But I am saying it's because I think we've nearly done 3 hours discussing a film that is under half that length.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good going. It's pretty good going.
I had a feeling we'd run.
Oh, I did. I really did. Yeah. But that's great. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
more content, you know, more Melvin for your ears. And that's not a euphemism or anything.
It could be, but
it could be. So yeah, Toxic Avenger. Do go check it out. You won't be scared. You will no way be scared. You may be grossed out.
It's good, silly fun. Yeah, a little bit gross.
Great
maybe.
Fun.
Good, silly fun. And if you are interested in, this side of quote unquote horror and the sort of the cheesy, the schlocky, campy comedy B movie side of things, then and Troma films in a wider example of that, then Toxic Avenger is the perfect place to start, really.
It really is.
If that wets your whistle, then there's plenty more where that came from.
Plenty more. Which
I'm sure 3 of the Toxic movies.
Yeah. Which we will hopefully get into in the future, because we've got to come back to this series.
Japan in the second one.
Oh wow! Oh, I'm in. I'm
in.
Science
ninjas.
That's like RoboCop 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll get back to the Toxic Avenger series soon, folks. But it's on. If you have Shudder, it's on Prime, Amazon Prime. I'm sure you can find it elsewhere, and it's probably cheap to buy. But yeah, do go check it out. Yeah, I believe that's it. Next time is part 2 of your birthday picks, and it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. Antrim, the
who knows?
Most dangerous movie, scariest film ever made, or whatever it says. Total wild card. I have watched it, but I had not seen it before this, and I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not pick that?
Why not? And is it on Prime?
Yeah.
Fine. So you can check that out on Prime.
Might be another Shudder one.
Oh, it could be a Shudder subscription, yeah.
It could be a Shudder subscription, but yeah, it is on Prime.
Prime Video. It just says included with Prime.
It's just on Prime then.
Either way, do go check it out, folks. Being ready for next week's episode. Antrim, the deadliest film ever made. And then finally, to cap off the month of June, after that we'll be doing part 2 of Monsters of Universal, where we'll be looking at Frankenstein, the original. I'm looking forward to that one. I really am looking forward to that one, because I have never seen it.
I have. This is one of the ones that I've actually I have seen previously. Cool. But it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm really hyped for that. And we need to start working out, I guess, July.
We should.
Because these weeks are flying by. Go on.
I have on that subject. We have had some requests. Retro Sesh. Mike is very keen for us to do some Stephen King, in particular, the car-related ones. Being
Christine,
a gearhead as he is, Christine, or Maximum Overdrive. Is it Maximum Overdrive? The one about the mental one about the trucks that kill everybody, which I watched not that long ago because it was randomly on one night.
Cool. More than happy to do one of them, yeah.
Did say I'd pass that on.
I've seen Christine, not seen Maximum. I know of Maximum Overdrive. More than happy. We'll do one of them for sure.
I mean, I've not seen Christine, but have seen Maximum Overdrive. But Maximum Overdrive is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's more. I think we should lean more towards that one. Yeah. Fine. There we go, folks. There's one film for July. Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive. We'll slot that in somewhere in the whole month. Perfecto. Right. Wonderful. Let's get the hell out of here because it's Friday night and it's 5 to 11.
Damn.
We've been going for so long.
I know.
And your screen isn't that dark yet. You're normally just ahead.
It can't be so far off. Like, it's because we're in summer now, innit? It's that summer vibe.
Yeah. So folks, check out the past content on the YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Podbean. Yep, that's it. All by searching the Dreadcast. And this anything else on there? I suppose on the YouTube you can go back and check out my couple of videos on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre technical test video. There we go. I got it.
Test.
Yeah, that was some fun. You can check out
if you would like to contact us. We have an email address, the mailbag. It needs a spookier name than that, but it doesn't have one currently.
Ooh.
But you can email us at the Dreadcast,
the
Dreadcast podcast at gmail.com.
I think
and
we should probably do that at the beginning of the podcast because I doubt people are listening still now.
No, nobody.
If you are, more credit to you.
There's a Chuffy badge winging its way to you.
Yeah.
No, I think we should just sign off, Tom. So there's only really one last thing left to say, which is stay spooky.
Stay spooky.